We're going to talk about cracking the code to executive hiring.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard in the last couple of talks how complex people are by themselves. So when you match that with a company and hiring, and then that hiring is in a startup, and then that startup may be, fundraising, might be starting out, it's not that easy. So
yeah, I'm very excited to welcome our speaker that has a wealth of experience on the topic. Please welcome to the stage Linda Võeras, investment manager at Karma Ventures.
Hello, good afternoon. So, I think my energy level is a bit different, so I apologize in advance, but hopefully it will keep you awake. It's been a long day already. I don't know if I've cracked the code, so disclaimer, but I think that maybe some tips and tricks I can share with you. A little bit about me. So this is about 10 years of my career. I started in journalism, interviewing people, politicians, historians, regular people, children, actually the hardest ones to interview, getting something out of them that you can use. Then going into executive search, knew nothing about tech, nor technology companies, how they're built. I got to learn from the best people who build teams for Apple, Oracle, Amazon, plenty of the startups we all know and love as well now in the younger generation, and learned a ton about what does it actually mean to qualify people, qualify teams, and how actually we're all just data, kind of similarly to what we were hearing before. And after being in London for a little bit and getting lost in the hustle and bustle, moved back to the Baltics. I'm originally Estonian, moved back to Tallinn, and joined Karma Ventures 3.5 years ago. So now I'm kind of doing the same thing, but qualifying them in the context of a company. And actually, there's a lot of similarities in those two careers. At the end of the day, there's a ton of data. You need to understand what is relevant, what isn't relevant, and what do I do with that information. A little bit about us as well. We're a late seed Series A investment firm, so we get involved around the time where this topic especially becomes very relevant. This is where you get some money, this is where you get some opportunity to bring people in who aren't founders, and figuring all of this out. So in our team, we've got people who've been CFOs, CEOs, CTOs, and in all walks of life. I'm sure that you will recognize some of these logos here. So from that perspective, we love the operational background and we love the support from that side. But let's go into some of the basics. Before you even think about who do I need or what is the next hire that I'm going to make, you need to first understand what you have in the team. Oftentimes, these are people that you've spent a bit of time with, who've had skills that are really useful in the beginning, and really trying to understand what do these titles actually mean in the context of organizations at the different stages of the company. So what you will need in pre-seed, which is predominantly on the engineering side, on the product side, you're building things, you're figuring out who your customers are. In seed stage, it's going to be more around, okay, so what we thought was going to happen with the product, is it actually happening? Is the feedback from the market the same? Do we need to iterate? How do I build a sales process, first and foremost? How do I sell? What are the right tools? All of these things you're figuring out, but really sitting down and what does a product organization do? What does a technology organization do? What is operations? What is sales? What is marketing? How do they interact with each other? So in the title Chief Executive Officer, you're the chief of everything. You need to know how to qualify your teams. What level is this individual at? If they're a chief of something, then that means that you as the CEO, I don't need to worry about that person. That person's got it. They don't come to me with worries, they come to me with solutions. They come to me and ask me what they need to do their job efficiently. First, so this is chief. Do I have any chiefs in my team? And are they chiefs for now, or are they also chiefs for 2 years, and 3 years, and 5 years along the line? Spoiler alert, majority of people that you will have in your team in seed, maybe in chief roles, won't be there probably in the chief roles at Series A and later on. The reason being that the skills needed at different stages are just very, very different. And people don't have experience in all of these different stages. So statistically speaking, majority of the co-founders that you will have in the beginning, of the people you have in the beginning, they won't scale as the company scales. So have this in the back of your mind. So first and foremost, do I have any chiefs in the team? Do I have any potential managers in the team? Or are there individual contributors who are really strong today in both setting the initial strategy, testing it, and executing it? And maybe as the company scales, are they also good at people management? Are they good at strategy setting? Like, people aren't unicorns. Potential is amazing. And you need to understand, especially in the beginning and on the junior level, what can potential do for my organization? But when it comes to leadership hiring, potential, it's not really good enough. You need people who have done these things before. And so a good place to start is that the people in my organization, have they done these things before? And have they done the things that I will need to do in a year or two? And also what helps with this is if you take majority of these funding rounds that you do, which is like seed and Series A and Series B, if you Google around, you'll be able to find benchmarks. Where do I need to be revenue-wise? What are the metrics that investors ask for, and how do I get them? So what is LTV to CAC? What influence is it? How does sales processes? What type of sales processes there are? So all of these kind of things, the CEO needs to understand and able to truly manage the people and ask the right questions from them. Secondly, what do you have to offer for the talent? Because once you know what you need and what you have already, and then you go out and, okay, so this is what I need. And that you need to actually build into realistics with what can I actually get. So some of the time, these are people that you know, it's a personality-based thing, they like you, and they'll join. Maybe it's the product that they like. I think that, one of the things that I've noticed is that a lot of really senior people with great experience tend to go into these world-changing, positive, clean tech, energy tech type of startups because they've done the money done thing before. They've made a lot of it. And so therefore, they want to make an impact in the world. So is my product actually generating an impact? And where can I find these people? Who will want to join this organization? When it's fintech, usually it's around, can I grow really, really fast and can I make money? It's the type of person that oftentimes goes into this vertical. Not a rule, but just an observation. I think space tech is, I've actually worked quite a lot with space tech, rockets, satellites, etc. It actually pulls in a lot of really cool people because I think the minute you say that, hey, we're flying things to space, people are like, okay, tell me more. So there is a coolness factor to it. People like telling their stories of where they work, especially if it's like a really, really impactful story as well. And also the different stages of the company as well is that, sometimes it's an investor that's really cool that's just come in and brought some money on the table. So people will be like, oh, okay, I know that investor, I've heard that name. So it's like, I don't know if in this region that's as much of a thing, but people who've been in the venture industry for a little while tend to qualify investors. Also, how much you raise sometimes helps. What other people you have in the organization. Figure out what people can you sell in the process of introducing your company, and what are their accomplishments are the ones that you should be mentioning, because good people want to work with good people. I want to work with someone that I trust, someone who I can learn from, and if I don't feel that that's the case in your organization, I don't really want to join, because I feel that there's so much pressure on me to execute, and I need to drive this whole thing. So, you know what, I don't really believe in it. Whereas, if you actually are good at, talking about, why these people are great and showcasing that, you can open up a whole pool of people. And overall, the market as well, who are you selling to? Because sometimes, some people don't want to sell to banks, some people don't want to sell to governments. And if they haven't done it before, you shouldn't really probably want to do it as well. But in sales, that's important. But for example, even in finance and technology, where this vertical experience in executive teams is less relevant, it does influence where they want to go to. So be ambitious, but realistic about who can you attract and how can you attract these people. And figuring out which way you should go with a hire, I think it's good to understand what's the difference between recruitment in general and executive search. So recruitment is I will put a job ad out. I'm looking for a CTO, I'm looking for a VP sales or a head of sales. And then you get a bunch of applications. They come to you. And then you look through them. And then you choose the one, and you do the whole process yourself. It can work in many places. If this helps when you already have an existing employer brand, people know your company, they recognize the name. If you're looking for local talent, that also helps. And also if you know what the candidate you're looking for looks like how does good look like in this? If you've hired this before, that's a no-brainer. Majority of people haven't. They haven't gone through these processes, or they don't have the relevant people in the geography. This is where the Baltics is a really tricky market. We've only had private companies for 35 years, and the whole startup thing is pretty new to this as well. So a lot of the times, the skills, they don't exist in this region. And you can't teach them those skills, because you haven't done it either, majority of the time. So you need to understand that again, coming back what I was saying earlier, if the person hasn't done it before, you're taking a risk that this person can't do it this time. And this is a really expensive mistake to make as a startup. Your capital is your time, and that's the lifeline of your company. Spending that with people and taking risks with that might not pay off. And if there's only one person that you're hiring into your executive team, you need to be bloody sure that that's the person who's going to make the difference in getting you from, maybe 10K revenue monthly to $1 million ARR. Have they done it before? No, probably won't do it. Have they done it from 5 to 10 million? No, they haven't. Probably won't do it. So this is where exec search comes in. This is an outbound thing. I do the research. When I used to be a consultant, I did. I did the research. I used to find the people who have done it before, who have done it in relevant industries, in relevant size companies, and have a pretty applicable skill set to your specific company. It's process and research driven. What companies, markets, individuals work in a way that you do, and what could be the best possible fit. You've worked with tens and tens of companies, you understand making these hires, what a culture looks like. And you're actually getting these insights from those consultants can be really an epiphany to many founders, how they're being perceived and how they're being described. You'll get 5 candidates from them. Those don't have to be, oftentimes the final 5, but you'll get a short list of 5 that you'll interview, so your time is, much less spent on this. And it takes up to 6 months, because at the end of the day, it's not the search itself, but it's more that a lot of these people are employed at the moment. They will go out and find the right people who are actually currently employed with other companies, and they will bring them into your company. There's notice periods of 3 months. The setup takes time. The research takes time. So that's 2 weeks when they start doing it. So it takes a bit of time, but it's okay. But 6 months. And that's also kind of realistic when you're thinking about any sort of executive hire. So when you're making your financial plans and figuring out how do you build your teams, this is a timeline that you're working with majority of cases of good executives. Anyone that you can get in tomorrow, if they're out of a job, maybe you get lucky on timing. Majority of the time, it's, why are they on the market? Why isn't anybody else snatching them up? And secondly, it's a quick and easy fix, but it might not necessarily be the one you need. And so it's very tailored and specific. And in the process, that as you're hiring, how do you actually prepare for it all? You actually need to sit down and build a briefing document. This is a selling tool that you will have for your company. So what do we do? How do we get this candidate excited about this company? So this is a one-pager about your company, the mission, the overall story of it. Second, what's the context of the appointment? What will this person do? What is the role? And what are the expectations over the next 2 years? And this is as much for yourself as it is for the candidate. You need to be able to set KPIs for this individual. How else will you know if they will do a good job or not? And so it's going to be clear for them, I can't promise this. So they will qualify themselves out. And in the beginning, you'll be like, no, don't go, I want you. But you don't. When I used to go on the first call, my first thing was this company is in shambles, the CEO is about to cry, and the investors are tapping out. And the guy was like, yeah, sounds like my kind of case. That's when you know that that's the right person to join your company. You don't convince them to join. If they don't have the skill set to do it confidently, you don't want them. And the last one, role profile. What kind of skills do you think this person needs? I actually think that this is the least interesting part of the whole thing, because you can put whatever skills in there, but like you can't probably accurately describe what skills in reality will this person need, so you can just copy and paste from the like online what kind of does this person look like. And the hiring process itself, in advance, tell them what is the process of the hiring, what's the role, what are the salary expectations and notice periods, ask them what are theirs, or tell them what's yours, just to make sure that it matches. If they're not looking to leave over the course of like 3 months, and I'm talking about employed people here, it doesn't really apply to people who aren't, but like it helps to calibrate both your side and their side, like otherwise you're wasting time. And state the biggest challenge of the role. What do you expect this person to do? Again, tell them in advance to see how they react. If they think it's too much, then they're not the right person. And finally, 4 to 5 step process, nothing else. It gets too cumbersome, too many steps, you're asking too much from the candidate, and ultimately you'll just get confused yourself. So, into the details. Commercial hiring. There's 4 types of qualification that you want to do when it comes to commercial hiring. Firstly, what kind of sales do you need them to do? And you should have an answer to this, by the way. So is it direct sales? Someone who go out individually to different clients, I don't know, emails them, calls them, talks to them. This is the most common thing people think about when it comes to sales, but it's also the most costly process. Like for us as VCs, like we see very few companies that are actually effective with this. Enterprise sales, yeah, that's great, but it takes like 9 months to go from the first call to an actual sale, right? So if that's the kind of thing that you're looking for, does it work on a VC scale? That's the first thing that I would question. Indirect sales, anything like partnerships, so technology partnerships with other companies, resellers, whatever it might be, like channel sales, that's a different skill set. Inbound. Again, it can come in different ways. Has this person ever built like marketing-led sales? Had they actually built it from scratch? Or from a certain point onwards that you needed to done? Does it work? Did they set the strategy or did they just execute it, right? Network effects. How do you build that into your business model? Have they done it before? Product-led and community-led. These are all very, very different ways of generating sales. And if you don't know what's going to work for your company, then it's going to be, again, a risky and costly mistake to do. Where have they sold? In the Baltics, we have it often that you just take a guy who's done local sales and you then go and expect it everywhere else. There's a lot of regional trust-building exercises that these people will need to go through in order to actually bring out some actual results. So if you don't have much money to give them, because who does, then don't expect much out of it. So this is like majority of people who have sold in different geographies kind of know how you need to adjust it. And this like approach of going out and testing it, it works if you don't have to pay them much and you get the information out of it, if you know that that's what you're doing. If you're expecting repeatable results and building a funnel, probably will not happen. To whom? How big size of companies have they sold into? What's the level of seniority they've reached? Is it a manager? Is it a VP? Is it C-suite? Who do they usually interact with? What industries? Is it business to business, B2C, B2B2C? Again, I see it often. Companies take someone who's done B2C sales and then put them into a B2B environment. Same, right? No, it isn't. And what skill set are they? Have they been an individual contributor, meaning that they do everything themselves? Are they a team builder? The fact that you hire them, they will build a team underneath them, they will manage the team and make sure the team actually does perform. But in majority cases, that's in early processes, you don't need a manager. Is it that setting up the processes? Because the first ones is like you'll have like 3 sales guys like testing things and trying things, not senior, but like more like sales reps. So someone to come in and manage those 3 people, but also do something on the side and figure out how to actually scale it, etc. So these are all things that you should have an answer to before you actually go out and hire. Sorry, I don't know why it's looking like this. It didn't before. So common things that I've thought about. Often seed stage is looking for a magician who will do everything. The CEO still, as I said before, if you're the C-suite in that, if you're the CEO and you're hiring a head of sales, you're the chief sales officer. If you don't have anyone else with the C title, you're managing that function. So company raised seed round, hired a really, really senior salesperson, paid them $200K. What happened was that the guy came in, he was kind of misled in where the company was, realized this wasn't the right place for him after 3 months. He tried, kudos to him. Company lost 90K, had no sales. Basically closed the doors. Same, Series A company wanted to expand to the US, never hired in the US before, had like a VP sales, didn't really know what they were looking for, left after 4 months, lost 100K, and no idea if it was a fit for US market. These stories happen every single day. Executive hires, again, questions you need to ask about technical people. Is this guy a coder, so a technical guy? Is this guy strategical, so they set the whole like architecture and infrastructure? Or is this guy a people manager? So these are, again, very diverse skill sets. You might need one in the beginning, probably technical, but as you kind of grow, you need to start thinking about when there is time to level up. Again, questions usually see like, problem, 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 that's probably where you need to put more people into, or better people into. What have they built? Have they actually done something from scratch or not? Is it an application, a platform, or a product? And the size of companies and the types of clients. You want them to be similar. If they haven't ever done an enterprise product before, then it's probably going to have a lot of difficulty scaling it. And again, like you don't need people usually from the same industries. It's just more around the types of products that they've built. And again, we worked with a company that had outsourced it, needed a CTO, actually needed a VP engineering, right? Like they figured out they actually needed someone technical rather than strategical. CTOs are very strategical, big picture thinking. VP engineering is much more like, hey, like how do we actually build this? And in hardware, guys, hardware people are hard to find, so be very realistic about those ones. And like flexibility in these roles is super key. Board hires. CEOs, you need to make sure that you're in charge of your boards. The investors that you take are great, but investors have other jobs to do. They don't think about your company all the time. Usually when we hired people into boards, we made sure that they had no more than like 4 other boards and they were full-time board members. That was what they were doing. So if your full-time job is 5 boards, imagine if an investor with a full-time job has a number of boards. So you need people who can be focused on your company, understanding it. And so, to yourself, what is the role of my board? What do I expect from it? Who would bring that dynamic that I would expect from it? And is this person that I really like actually a board member material? Have they done it before? Do I know how boards work? Or is it more just an advisor that I can go to every now and again? Finance, HR, do it as fast as you can. Sorry, I'm running out of time. It's a lot of things to cover, so I'm going to rush through these. But skilled accountants into finance, find people in doing it, and make sure they're just like a smart guy, but junior. And then CFO is usually BC. Like, I see many people in Seed who have a full-time CFO. Why? Unless it's a really complex business model. There are exceptions. And HR, again, once you see that becomes an issue, people asking about promotions and management questions and yada, 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 is probably a sign that you'll need to hire someone into that role. Or even into recruitment happens. Diversity. People from different size companies, different backgrounds, different experiences, that enriches the team. I'm not talking about only gender here, which that's also one part of it, but make sure that you don't have everybody with the same background, same company, same stage, etc., because you will not have conflicts, you will not have disagreements, and that's going to be a bad thing for the company. Don't fight, but just make sure you discuss things. And referrals, junior, that's fine. In leadership, I've realized that not many people actually know how well other leaders perform, even if they're a cool person, so take them skeptically. But to take references on people you're hiring. Onboarding, this is really important. Take them on board, give them all the tools, show them how everything is done, take some time, plan that into your schedule, and then give them the role. If they fail, you fire. If they excel, great, then you have more time in your hands. That's it. Thank you.